So the music group ABBA has now added their list to the names of artists and bands who have either sent Trump a cease and desist letter or came out and said that he was not authorized to use their music. I wanted to go down this list because I'm sure so many of your favorite artists are on it, and then I want to talk about why that more creative artist comes out against Trump and doesn't want their name attached to his music. Now, I'm sure a lot of your favorite artists are on this list. A lot of mine are, but I want you to really think about this, and then we're going to kind of go over some of the high spots on this list. But we can add ABBA to the list. Also on the list is Prince, Adele, R.E.M., Neil Young, the Rolling Stones, Elton John, Ariana Grande, the Foo Fighters, Pink, Queen, Stevie Nicks, Simon and Garfunkel, The Killers, John Fogerty, Rage Against the Machine, obviously, Celine Dion, Tom Petty, Katy Perry, and that was the estate of Tom Petty, by the way, Black Eyed Peas, Beyonce, Lynyrd Skynyrd, take all the time you need to think that one over, Miley Cyrus, Rihanna, Billy Joel, Cher, the Beach Boys, Nickelback, Kenny Rogers, and Lorde. Now, one of the first things that I would ask is, has Donald Trump ever actually listened to any of these people's music, or has he actually listened to what it is they stand for? Because if he did, he would know to not use Neil Young's music, okay? I mean, if I was going to go out there and have some sort of event, I wouldn't use Kid Rock's music because I know where Kid Rock stands. I wouldn't use the music of Toby Keith. So why would Donald Trump or his team ever think, yeah, using Neil Young's music would be a good idea? Why would anyone think that? Why would anyone think that using Rage Against the Machine? I mean, do they not realize Rage Against the Machine, who that the machine is they're raging against? They're raging against fascism. They're raging against an authoritarian dictator. So it's funny to me that the Trump team or Trump himself doesn't actually look into this first and go, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't use these artists' music. And the one that really leaped off the page there at me, and I had to go check into this one, the one that leaped off the page to me there was Lynyrd Skynyrd, obviously. I've got Ronnie Van Zant from the original Skynyrd Band tattooed on my arm. He is one of my biggest idols and heroes, and I know he's a very controversial figure, but I've always felt like he was one of the most misunderstood figures in all of rock and roll. It's obvious that today's version of Lynyrd Skynyrd that's out there, there's not a surviving member left, so it's pretty much a tribute act at this point. They're definitely a conservative band, and I really feel like that they're a group of guys who the record company said to them, this is your demographic, now you play to it. But they didn't like the fact that Trump used Freebird in one of his videos and came out and said that he wasn't authorized to do so. If you go back and study the original Skynyrd Band and listen to songs that Ronnie Van Zant wrote, we're always going to be scratching our head and wondering exactly what he meant in Sweet Home Alabama about a lot of that. But if you listen to Saturday Night Special, he clearly said a handgun was made for killing. They ain't no good for nothing else. And if you like to drink your whiskey, you might even shoot yourself. So why don't we dump them people to the bottom of the sea before some old fool come around here and want to shoot either you or me? That was his words. And when he was asked in an interview, and it's here on YouTube, you can look it up. When he was asked in an interview if he was serious about that, he said, yes, I was very serious about that. I think they should all be thrown to the bottom of the sea. He said, I've been shot myself, and I don't think anyone should just be able to walk into a pawn shop and get one. I have argued with more good old boys in my part of the world over that clip because it truly gets under their skin. And my argument has always been this. If Ronnie Van Zant had came along in today's political climate and sang that song, MAGA would absolutely crucify him. But getting back to this list and the artist that doesn't want to be associated with Trump, I've always noticed in my lifetime, I've been a musician for over 25 years now. I started writing songs before I even learned how to play a guitar. I was writing poems. I've been in the music business most of my life, to tell you the truth. Traveled around this world, or my part of the world anyway, and got to open up for a lot of my heroes. Got to record in Nashville, do a whole lot of cool things, nominated for some awards. You know, I definitely had my fun. But along the way, I noticed that the people that were the more creative people just automatically were more progressive and were automatically more open-minded. I think it just goes with being creative. Since Donald Trump came down the escalator, so many people in my part of the world have adopted this philosophy of you should just shut up and sing. But they only say that to the people that bash Trump. They only say that to that list of people and anyone who dares speak out against Trump. They're not saying that to Kid Rock. They're not saying that to Ted Nugent. They didn't say that to Toby Keith or Charlie Daniels or anyone like that. You know, anyone out there that speaks up for MAGA, they're gonna say, hell yeah, preach it. But if it's someone speaking against it, it's shut up and sing. But it's just automatic that I believe the more creative people are more progressive and open-minded people, and they don't want their music attached to such an extreme ideology. They realize at the end of the day just how divisive, even Lynyrd Skynyrd, even modern era Lynyrd Skynyrd realizes how divisive Donald Trump is, and they don't want to divide that crowd that way. Because if you come out in support of Donald Trump, then you are saying that everything he's said and done is okay with you. That's how it looks. When I see someone like Kid Rock up there singing at the RNC and singing his songs that he clearly just phoned in, I mean, it's the most pathetic shit I've ever heard. But when I see him singing that crap, I say to myself, none of these things Trump has said and done is deal breakers to this guy. Trump's racism, Trump's homophobia and transphobia, Trump's treatment of women, Trump's disrespect to veterans, Trump being indicted, Trump being a felon, none of these things are deal breakers to Kid Rock. That's what goes through my head. And I think a lot of artists realizes this, and they say to themselves, you know what? We don't want our music associated with this dude in any way. And who can blame them? Who can really blame them? But to the ones out there that loves to get on this kick of shut up and sing, I just want you to understand, and I'm going to say this as many times as I can, as long as I've got a platform, I'm going to be saying this. To tell an artist to shut up and sing is one of the most insulting things that you could ever say to them. It truly is. And when you say things like, well, I pay my hard-earned money to come see them, I want them to keep their politics out of it, you're paying to see them on the platform that they built for themselves. You're paying to see them present their craft to you. So if you don't like something they're saying, you can take your money elsewhere. You don't get to, just because you're throwing your money down doesn't mean you get to tell that artist what he can think or what he can say. That's not how it works at all. And I think a lot of people have got that confused. They think it's all about them, and it's clearly not. And they're about as annoying as this fly that's buzzing around me, and I'm not going to do a take two on this video because I'm rolling and I feel good about it. But that's one of the most insulting things that you can say to an artist. I don't say it to Kid Rock or Ted Nugent. I don't tell them to shut up and sing. I'll tell them why I disagree with their viewpoints, but I'm not going to say shut up and sing because I find it as an insult. And so, you know, more and more artists are coming out and saying to Trump, don't use our music. And I would make this argument that if you made a list, if I said, what's your Mount Rushmore of songwriters? And you put 4 songwriters on a Mount Rushmore, I guarantee you 3 out of the 4 of them are going to be progressive and liberal-minded people. And I've really sat here and tried to think long and hard about who would be considered a conservative songwriter, and that's actually tougher than you think. Because you could say Merle Haggard. He was definitely one of the greats. He was definitely a patriotic dude. But Merle Haggard also wrote a song called Irma Jackson about being in an interracial relationship. He also wrote a song for Hillary Clinton and said we should put a woman in the White House. Merle may have been patriotic, but he also did not care at all to rock the boat or go against the system. Hank Williams Jr. from 1975 to 1990 made some of the greatest country music of all time. I'm never going to knock that dude. But I would argue that back when he was writing his more classic tunes, he was supporting Jimmy Carter. So tell me if I've got it wrong, and tell me where the best conservative songwriter out there is. And if you go back, and even if you did say someone like Charlie Daniels or Ronnie Van Zant or any of those people, I would say, well, at that particular time that they were writing their hits, they were backing Democrats and they were more open-minded. So, yeah, there's more and more artists that are going to come out and want to distance themselves from this, folks, because they don't want to be associated with such a radical rhetoric. They don't want to be associated with such hate and cruelty and division. And I think it's great to see these artists coming out and saying this, and I think more should. I think more should let us know where they stand. Don't shut up and sing. Tell us where you stand so we know where to put our money. In all fairness, you know what? You don't have to go see Jason Isbell. You don't have to go see the Drive-By Truckers. You don't have to go see Tyler Childers anymore if you don't want to. And I don't have to go see Kid Rock if I don't want to. But why don't everybody just come out and let us know what they're really thinking? Because now is not the time to be quiet in my mind. I know there's a lot of artists out there that will say, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to do politics, folks. In my mind, I want you to understand something. I didn't give up all the years I did of playing music for politics. I don't get booked anymore in my part of the world. Probably I'm never going to be again, and I've accepted that fact. I know it to be true. But I didn't give up all that hard work and all those years of blood, sweat, and tears over politics, over who's going to pay for the new highway or over how high the minimum wage should be. I did so because of the cruelty that is MAGA and the threat that they pose to democracy, and I couldn't sit here and be quiet. And I applaud any artist who does the same. I don't think now's the time to be quiet. And when artists tries to duck and dodge and say that they don't want to get into politics, it ain't politics, pal. It's not politics. It's something way deeper than that, and I think more artists needs to wake up and realize it.